Hey everybody, it's Dr. Jason Piken again. Welcome to another episode of the Digestion Diaries. Today I want to pose a question that I'm going to answer myself, of course, because I'm the only one talking on these videos most of the time. But the question is, what did I learn after being gluten-free for a year and a month? And so here's the basic story. I've been learning about gluten and the negative effects of gluten, which is a protein found in wheat, rye, and barley, for many years. I can't tell you how many lectures I've been to, seminars, podcasts I've listened to, books I've read about the negative effects of gluten. And I have gone gluten-free for periods of time in the past. Over the years, my first bout was like 7 days and then 10 days, and I never really felt different. So I went to 3 months a while later, and it didn't feel different. And each one of these things was a bit of a commitment because, like a lot of people, especially in America, bread was a normal part of my life every single day, whether it's bagels or pasta or flour that you put to fry something or saute something, breadcrumbs. It's just everywhere. And I had to make a real conscious effort to make a shift and change. And each time what I needed was a why. Why should I do this? And it always came down to, well, my digestive tract isn't perfect. I had some issues here and there, and I wanted to learn more about them. Yet each time I did a gluten experiment, it didn't seem to do anything for me. Yet as I kept learning and testing more things about myself, I did a genetic test for celiac. And what I found is that I have the primary gene positive that says I will be like a carrier or more likely to have celiac than somebody else. 90% of people that have celiac, which is a true allergy genetically to gluten, have this gene. Now, it doesn't mean if you have the gene you're necessarily going to absolutely be celiac, but it's worth looking more into. And so I was discussing the fact that I've gone gluten-free and tried it, and I actually almost feel like I felt better. Like, to be too graphic because these are my videos, my poops are better when I eat wheat, when I have high fiber diets consisting of grains. And I didn't really want to give that up, even though I tried it many times in the past. So what I decided was I had this conversation with a table full of doctors in the middle of a seminar, the lunch break of a seminar, and I explained how I still was dealing with psoriasis, which is a light patchy part that I have right here of dry skin. And I have mild digestive issues that I wanted to see if I could get even better. And one of the doctors suggested, well, if you don't go gluten-free for at least a year, you're not going to really learn much. You have to be vigilant, and you really have to give your body enough time to heal from it. So at that lunch, I plain old became gluten-free. You see, when I make a decision, a final decision to cut off all other options and say, no, right from now on, I'm gluten-free, I just do it. It's just like a switch I flip in my head, and this is something that everybody has the power to do, but right then and there, I started my gluten-free, and I told myself I was going to do it from 1 year. This was on October 1st, so I had to make it to the next October 1st. That ended this past October. Now keep in mind, what October 1st to October 1st means is that you're doing that right before Thanksgiving, right before my daughter's birthday, where there's birthday cake, right before Hanukkah, where there's potato latkes made with usually flour, okay? Right before Christmas parties and New Year's and vacations that I go away to where it's inconvenient to be gluten-free. And I go to seminars all the time and I travel a little bit, and it's really not easy being gluten-free unless you flip that switch in your head and it's not even a possibility to have gluten. And I became an avid label reader. I looked at everything, and I'll tell you, at the first few weeks there was a slip up. Artificial crab meat, because I was starving at an airport, and I looked at this package and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna have this. They didn't say gluten on the package, but what I later found out, because it was processed, I did look it up, and my actual wife helped me out by saying I should look it up, because a lot of times it's processed and stuck together with gluten. And so that was my one break. Didn't feel bad, didn't feel anything, and I kept it going really strict for a whole year. And at the end of that year, the reason why it went a year and a month is because at the end of the year, I really had no desire to have gluten anymore. Now, I can't tell you there was dramatic differences in the way I felt at all. I didn't really notice a change, although I liked the discipline of not being able to have bread, and which usually is what I overeat and what a lot of people overeat. So it's a great thing to make your life a little inconvenient. It wound up flattening my stomach because when I did eat out, I couldn't eat tons of bread and fill myself up with that. So it was a great side effect, but I didn't really feel different from going off of gluten. But that year hit and I just really didn't have the desire for a change until a year and a month hit. And me and my wife were out to lunch and there was an opportunity, there was a bread sitting on the table, and I said, you know what? I've been gluten-free for a year and a month, let's just do it. And I had my first piece of bread and it was good. It definitely tasted good. I did miss it after I had it, dipped in olive oil. The bread dipped in olive oil or bread with butter is just a good thing, taste-wise. But what I learned was it didn't have any effect on me. And I actually have been reintroducing gluten sporadically here and there. And I don't really feel like it has any type of negative effect. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't. So what I'm gonna do, because I have the genes, is I'm gonna stay gluten low. I'll go periods of time, 2-3 weeks, where I don't have it, but I'm gonna allow myself to have it, and I'm gonna generally try to look for reactions. But the point of this whole video is, if you really want to experiment and figure out if a food is right or wrong for you, sometimes you have to give it time. And if you decide to commit for a full year like I did, and you don't notice any different, well, it was not a waste of time. There's always a side benefit. Like for me, because I didn't overeat the bread, my stomach flattened, and I kind of felt better because of that, because I didn't overeat at restaurants like I usually did, and that's what I learned. So some people can have gluten, and some people can't. I still keep recommending gluten-free diets to my patients because I'd say anywhere from like 30 to 40% of my patients feel dramatically better when they get gluten out of their life. It's just not for everybody. So if you're trying foods and if you're doing a food experiment and you want to see how it affects you, really go all in and give it enough time. I guess that's my message of the day. Have a great one.